Welcome to the Middle School Cafe podcast, where we're serving up fresh strategies and solutions for ELA teachers just like you. Join us as we explore proven methods to bridge the achievement gap and help every student reach their full potential. Whether you're a veteran teacher or just starting out, grab a cup of coffee and a notepad and let's get started. Here's your host, Carolyn Wall.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope you're having a fantastic summer. I'm pretty sure everyone is finally on summer break. Have you had the chance to step away from school yet? Whether you've been traveling, spending time with family, tackling projects around the house, reading a book just because you wanted to, or simply enjoying a slower pace, I hope you're finding some time to refresh and recharge. Summer is one of the few opportunities we have to reset before another busy school year begins, and I hope you're making the most of it. Today's episode is a Fifth Tuesday bonus episode. I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about the conversations we're having inside our free Building Strong and Confident Readers community. This summer, we're doing a book study. We are reading In the Best Interest of Students by Kelly Gallagher. I go live every Monday to discuss one chapter, and then we spend time reflecting together on our own teaching practices. If you're not familiar with Kelly Gallagher, he's an educator and author who has spent years encouraging teachers to think critically about reading and writing instruction. Several years ago, my school district brought him in to lead a professional development workshop, and I had the opportunity to attend. What I appreciated most wasn't that he handed us a list of strategies to implement. Instead, he challenged us to think about our instructional decisions and the experiences we create for students. I left with plenty of notes and questions that helped me reflect on my own teaching. Whether you're reading the book along with us or hearing about it for the first time today, I think you'll still find something to take away from this episode. Instead of summarizing the first 3 chapters, I'd like to share 3 ideas from the book that encourage us to pause and reflect on our own teaching. As you're planning for the upcoming school year, I hope one of these ideas gives you something to think about and maybe even inspires a small change in your own classroom. One quick note before we get started. I'm using the 2015 edition of In the Best Interest of Students for our discussions because that's the book I already had. There is also a 2023 edition, and I know some members of our community are reading that version. The core ideas are very similar, so whether you have the 2015 or the 2023 edition, you'll be able to follow along with the discussions. So let's jump in. The first idea that really stood out is we need to protect the practices that actually help students become readers. One of the points Kelly Gallagher makes early in the book is that over time, we've slowly let go of some instructional practices that were once common in reading classrooms. Not because they weren't effective, but because new initiatives, new standards, and new expectations kept getting added to our plates. As I was reading, I found myself thinking, how many of us can relate to that? We rarely stop doing something because we decide it isn't valuable. More often, we stop because something else demands our attention. Maybe we used to spend time introducing a novel with activities that built curiosity and background knowledge. Then the pacing guide got tighter, and we felt like we needed to jump right into chapter 1. Or maybe we used to protect 15 or 20 minutes for independent reading multiple times a week, but over time, that slowly disappeared as new initiatives, assessments, and interventions were added to the expectations. None of those changes happen overnight. They happen a few small changes at a time. As I read this section, I didn't come away thinking Gallagher was asking us to completely change the way we teach. Instead, I think he's encouraging us to reflect on a much simpler question. Have we unintentionally let anything important disappear from our classrooms? I think that's a worthwhile question for all of us. As teachers, we're constantly adjusting our instruction. We adopt new curriculum, respond to changing standards, and try new strategies. That's part of being a reflective educator. But every once in a while, it's worth stepping back and asking whether we've made enough room for the experiences that help students become lifelong readers. As you're planning for the new school year, here's a question I'd encourage you to think about. Is there one reading practice you've gradually let slip away that might be worth bringing back? Maybe it's making time for students to talk about books with one another. Maybe it's reading aloud, even to middle or high school students. Maybe it's giving students a few extra minutes to browse books before making a choice, or creating more opportunities for them to simply enjoy reading without immediately turning it into an assignment. Whatever it is, sometimes the most meaningful change isn't adding something new. It's making space again for something we already know has value. The second idea that stood out is think about the reading experiences we're creating for students. One of the topics Gallagher discusses is the growing use of excerpts instead of complete texts. There are certainly times when excerpts have a place in our instruction, but his bigger point isn't really about excerpts themselves. It's about the overall reading experience we're creating for students. Are students spending enough time immersed in a complete text to develop stamina, make connections across chapters, and experience the satisfaction of finishing a book? Or are they primarily moving from one short passage to the next? That question made me stop and think because there are a lot of reasons we use shorter texts. We have required textbooks, limited instructional time, multiple standards to teach, assessments to prepare for, and pacing guides to follow. None of those challenges are going away. But I think Gallagher raises an important question. If students rarely have opportunities to experience an entire book, are they missing something that's difficult to replicate with excerpts alone? Reading a novel isn't just about understanding one chapter. It's about watching characters grow over the course of the story, noticing how themes develop, remembering details from earlier in the story, making predictions, and experiencing the satisfaction of reaching the final page. Those are habits of real readers, and they take time to develop. If there's one question this chapter left me thinking about, it's this. When students leave our classrooms next spring, what do we hope they'll remember most about reading? Of course, they'll remember some of the novels, stories, and skills we taught, but I also hope they remember how reading felt. I hope they leave believing they're more confident readers than they were when they walked through our door. I hope they've discovered a book, an author, or a genre they genuinely enjoyed. I hope they've had opportunities to think deeply, share ideas with classmates, and experience the satisfaction of finishing a book. Those experiences don't happen by accident. They're the result of the choices we make every day, the books we select, the time we protect for reading, the conversations we encourage, and the opportunities we give students to see themselves as readers. That's what I think Gallagher is challenging us to consider. Not just what we're teaching, but the reading experiences we're creating along the way. The third idea that stood out is small instructional decisions add up over time. One thing I appreciated about these first three chapters is that they aren't really asking us to overhaul our reading instruction. Instead, they remind us that the small choices we make every day shape our students' experiences over the course of an entire school year. When we think about improving instruction, it's easy to assume we need a brand new program, a completely different curriculum, or a major classroom transformation. That's often why packaged curriculums are so appealing to districts. They promise a comprehensive solution, but that's not usually how meaningful change happens. Those small decisions often don't feel very important in the moment. Extending a discussion because students are engaged, slowing down to let students wrestle with a question, or protecting a few extra minutes for reading can seem insignificant on a single day. But teaching isn't measured one day at a time. Over the course of 180 school days, those choices accumulate, shaping the experiences students have and the way they come to think about reading. The good news is that meaningful change doesn't depend on getting everything right all at once. As we head into a new school year, that's an encouraging reminder. We don't have to do everything perfectly on the first day of school, and we don't have to implement every new idea we come across this summer. In fact, trying to do too much at once often makes it harder to know what's actually making a difference. What matters most is creating consistent reading experiences throughout the year. Those experiences build on one another, and over time, they help shape how students see themselves as readers. Sometimes the greatest impact doesn't come from one remarkable lesson. It comes from hundreds of thoughtful instructional decisions that together create a classroom where students have the opportunity to grow as readers. As we wrap up today's episode, I hope these three ideas gave you something to think about. Whether it's protecting the practices that matter, thinking more intentionally about the reading experiences we're creating, or remembering that those experiences accumulate over time, I hope you'll carry one of those ideas with you as you prepare for the new school year. One of the things I've enjoyed most about this summer book study is that it hasn't been about finding the right way to teach reading. It's been about making time to reflect on our own practices, ask good questions, and learn from one another. I think that's something we don't always make enough time for during the school year. If you'd like to join us on this journey, I'd love to have you. The Building Strong and Confident Readers community is completely free, and each Monday throughout the summer, I go live for about 30 minutes to discuss another chapter and reflect on how the ideas connect to our own teaching. We still have several chapters to go, so there's plenty of time to jump in. And if you're joining us a little late, don't worry. All of the previous discussions are available as replays right in the community, so you can watch them whenever it's convenient for you. You don't even have to be reading the book to be part of the conversation. If you're looking for a place to reflect on reading instruction, gather ideas for the upcoming school year, and connect with other educators who are thinking through these same questions, we'd love to have you. You'll find the link to join us in today's show notes. Thanks so much for spending part of your summer with me. I hope you continue to find time to relax, recharge, and maybe even pick up a book that's just for you. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me today. As a reminder, a new episode drops every first and third Tuesday, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Be sure to visit middleschoolcafe.com to find links to everything mentioned in today's show. Until next time.